This week, the KIP is on class within an inspector calls. So what I've done, instead of writing a model answer, I've just pulled out a variety of quotations that all link to class, and then I've just explained them. At the end of this YouTube clip, I've also got a few more suggestions of where you can find important moments throughout the play that link to class. Before we start though, let's just get some facts in. You do need to talk about how Priestley wrote this allegorical text, so it's a play with a moral meaning of how did Priestley want society to change to then be more responsible for the working class. This rude, supercilious quote indicates that Mrs. Berlin, from her background, has been raised never to compliment anybody from a lower working class than herself. It's this rude arrogance that Priestley wanted to challenge within society. A society where the upper class failed to show their gratitude to lower class because they felt they were inferior and beneath them. This quote represents the capitalist ideology that Mr. Berlin has, where he would like his daughter's marriage to be a union to work together with another family to increase his profits. The pronoun you here indicates that Gerald is in complete control and dominates Sheila. The word wanted creates a sense of ownership and entitlement. It is almost as though he has a right to make Sheila's decisions for her as her husband-to-be. This has been done intentionally by Priestley to represent the way in which women were treated during Edwardian England. This quote not only links to class, but it links to the patriarchy that existed within 1912 when Priestley set the play. So it's important to recognise that Priestley not only is criticising here a society where the class system oppressed the proletariat, he is also criticising a society where women lack power and are submissive to their husbands. Priestley uses the character of Sheila here to present his socialist view and to teach the audience about responsibility. Sheila is outraged by the fact that her father considers women to be objects and just cheap labour, because as a female herself, she feels antagonised by what she hears. You can look at this quote in two ways. You can look at it the fact that cheap labour represents Eva and the lower classes that used to take on menial, low-paid jobs, cleaning and working in service. However, the term may also allude to the fact that Labour were voted into power following the Second World War. So this could be Priestley reinforcing the fact that Labour is meant to bring change. For higher marks, talk about the significance of Sheila's name. Sheila is derived from the name of Cecilia, which comes from the Latin word caesus, meaning blind. However, as the inspector is introduced, we see a change in Sheila, which also reflects the change that Priestley wants to see in society and within the class system. Here, with this quote, Mr. Berlin feels that it is his responsibility to come down sharply on these people. So it's the second or third time I think we've heard these people. Again, this has been reiterated by Mrs. Berlin. The punitive adverb sharply suggests that Mr. Berlin is seeking to punish the proletariat who try to ask for a fairer wage. It is ironic and a testament to his selfish, avaricious nature that he believes that they're asking for a moderate pay rise, a fair wage. He links this to asking for the earth, everything. Priestley could be highlighting here that the rich upper class feel obliged to be severe and harsh in their treatment towards the proletariat in a way that stems from fear of them rising out of their station to threaten their upper class, middle class status. This quote importantly shows us a different attitude of the upper class, who are used to abusing and exploiting their status to get what they want. Here, this is an example of overt intimidation by Mr. Berlin, who actually even uses the word warn. I should warn you that he's an old friend, to threaten the inspector when he is asking his questions. Priestley's highlighting the sheer arrogance of the upper classes when challenged about their immoral behaviour. Priestley here is criticising Mrs. Berlin's entrenched prejudice of lower class girls when she says girls of that sort. She clearly has preconceptions about working class girls, suggesting that they lack morals and will always take money. And just some final things to talk about. Consider the strike, Eva asking for more money. You've also as well got the links to capitalism, labour and capitalism and socialist views. You've also got Sheila's jealousy, Gerald's affair. Parenting is an important point to consider because Priestley here is clearly condemning the parenting style of the upper class, who have no idea what goes on within their household or what their children are getting up to with Eric. I would absolutely mention the naivety of upper class women. They exist within this very closed off, isolated, ostracised sphere, protecting them from the harsh reality of what exists outside their upper class domain. I would talk about Eva as a metaphor and the exploitation of Eva and other young women like Eva. I would talk about the inspector's message about how there's millions and millions in John and Eva Smiths, and how he gives that dire warning of fire and blood and anguish, and I would link that to the class system too, linking it to the context of the play being written in 1945, first performed in 1946 in Russia, and why was it performed in Russia first. So Google that if you're not sure. And the final thing I just would like to say is good luck for your kids this week. Remember, the question is, how does Priestley present the importance of the theme of class? So if you are unsure, either watch this video again or Google class system within Inspector Calls and start copying down some quotations so you are prepared when you come in on Thursday or Friday.